1959 Belair 4-door. Customer states that he's having a lot of lighting issues and things like that doesn't work. It also doesn't look like it's charging properly with the alternator that was replaced. So we're going to go ahead and check all that and then see what we pretty much find. So I got everything pulled up. I was just kind of checking the battery to see if even it's charging, which it was only showing like 9 volts or something like that. And I came to find out that the alternator is not even hooked up to anything. It's missing the plug, and the alternator power signal is not hooked up to anything. I did find this wire, which is 12 volt live, and it's not connected to anything. That's just how it's sitting there when I pulled it in. So I'm going to go ahead and make a signal wire, basically the same plug, and it's going to have a diode in between that's going to be hooked up to ignition signal. That way it'll start charging up even at low idle. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the other side that's going to the alternator, and it's going to tell it to charge as well. So ring terminal on one end, normal spade on the other end. So I ended up ditching the diode method. What I have right now is just temporarily power going. This one's going to the battery, and on one of the ports it will have number 1 and number 2. You don't really need the number 1 since you kind of have to crank this up anyway, and whenever it reaches like 1500, it's called the excitement charging, and the alternator is going to start charging. So this wire that's going to the post is pretty much on the number 2 position. This is just all temporary. I did order a actual plug, so this, like I said, this is just me testing it just to even see if it was going to charge. This is also going to be an upgraded wire, so I'm going to be replacing it with either an 8 gauge or a 4 gauge. So I just don't know it yet. I'm going to try to figure out how to even run it to the other side. And yeah, that's pretty much it so far. I am waiting for parts from Amazon, so whenever it gets here, we'll keep it moving. So as I mentioned before, I got everything pretty much wired up so far, and I also mentioned before that I got rid of the diode plan, since you kind of have to excite the alternator anyway by obviously choking the carb a little bit to get it started, so you got to pump it up anyway. So kind of worked out. But that alternator is somewhat universal, so you can put it on older cars like these, newer cars, tractors and things like that, that has obviously fuel injected on some of it. That's when you're going to need the diode setup, as you don't have to step on the gas to get it primed and all that whatnot. But on this case, you had to step on the gas regardless, so I guess it worked out so far. It's charging at 14.1, so the alternator is doing its job. But that's pretty much check off the list so far. But we are going to redo all of these. Gonna lessen some of it. We're also going to clean up that ground. It's all kind of caked up with oil. I'm gonna add up a few more ground points, possibly about right there. Somewhere in the motor, to the chassis, to the body, and then maybe add another one to the front. I did buy one of these, just a basic ground strap, just to kind of add in there, so just to give it a little bit more ground. But overall, just wanted to kind of show you what's going on with the alternator while I still wait on parts. Right now the compressor is running. I just wanted to see what voltage it's going to pull, and so far we're still about 14 once the alternator is doing its job. So like I said, that I just wanted to make sure the alternator is working before I even clean all this stuff up, shorten some of the wires, and I will have to run a bigger wire from there all the way to the battery. So like I said, that's temporary, but that will be replaced. Now before, this was only showing 9 volt, 10 volt, and now it's at 13. So that's kind of what you want to see when it comes to charging. So far so good, and we'll keep on moving. So I'm watching the voltmeter over there. So far it's at 13.4, 13.5, and we're gonna see if it's gonna throw the error for the low battery or low voltage or something like that, because before it was only showing 10 volts or 9 volts. Now it's showing at 13. So let's see if I can get this thing to work. This time the compressors are actually staying on. Like I said before, it wasn't even doing that. It kept shutting off, on, off, on, off. Now it's actually continuously going. So if you can hear it from the back, that's how it should be. So notice it's climbing a lot quicker. No voltage signal, no voltage loss, no battery or anything like that. So simple as that. It's actually working. So I had to pull out the Belair since this one was dropped off to get worked on as well, and this one was appointed quite a bit, probably about 2 to 3 months ago. So had to pull that out, work on this one, and we're gonna go ahead and continue working on this one now that the Sierra is done. There are some parts that arrived, so we're gonna go crank on this one, move this one to this spot, and then have the Sierra be hooked up. So just kind of notice this one. It looks like it is leaking a little bit of gas, so just kind of have to watch out for that. I will note that with the customer just to make sure this thing doesn't catch on fire while he's driving around, but it looks like it has been leaking for quite a while. Quite a bit of residue as well, so yeah, definitely gonna keep it monitored and hopefully nothing happens to this thing. Getting ready to pretty much finish up the alternator side of it. I kind of ordered one from Amazon, not knowing if it's even gonna work, but luckily I just tested it. Everything works, so we're gonna go ahead and use this and keep on moving. Here's the little jumper plug to the stud of the power. You might be wondering what that black goo looking thing is. Since the car leaks a little bit, I'm just kind of trying to seal an entrance, which is kind of going to be mounted right here, and I didn't want any oil coming in there. But the other side, not really concerned on that, but this one, since this is the one that's going to be sending the signal to the actual alternator to charge, I want to protect this one at least. But yeah, I just connected a ring terminal all the way to that plug that I just bought, and that's what it looks like. So I ended up pulling it out, redoing it and shortening it up a little bit, and I ended up sealing the other side with ABS glue. It is pretty dark outside, so just to kind of show you that I am working at nighttime. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing done, run the power wire going all the way to the battery, and that should be all for tonight. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning, Sunday. We plan on putting the new terminals in, clean up the wiring a little bit. I went ahead and did a little bit last night. I relocated the charger. It's now mounted with the alternator, grounded to the alternator as well, so that kind of lessened the wire a little bit. So I pretty much routed everything here, zip tied. This is the alternator power now, so it's looking nice so far. Everything routed cleanly, so we're gonna keep on pressing. Hopefully get this done by next weekend so the customer can have it back, enjoy it for the spring and things like that. So let's get to it. So I'm just kind of finishing up on the battery side. As you can see, everything is kind of ran. This one I'm going to be cutting. That's for the old generator, which is not going to be needed. So far, that's what the wiring looks like. So everything is loomed up, ran. and pretty much all mounted. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the ground, which I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of caked up with oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean that up. That way it's, I guess, conducting a better ground. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Show you what it looks like after. So I got it cleaned up a little bit, degreased it, got the bowl cleaned up a little bit, and cleaned up the surface a little bit where it's going. Not sure if you can see that, but let me see if I can turn the light on. There you go. I wiped off the oil that's kind of caked on that bolt hole. So put a little bit of heat shrink, putting it back together. All right, just a recap. Excuse me. I already got everything ran. Alternator's done. Ran all the way to the battery. Added a little ground strap right there. This was already here. I just kind of shortened everything so the plug is right here. Make it kind of all look neat. So yeah, that thing stays here, which is what it was when it pulled in. So I kind of cleaned up a little bit of the looming, got everything tightened back up, ground, power, everything. So I'll go ahead and test everything, let it run for a little bit, and then we'll be moving on to the steering wheel situation, which is the turn signal, brake, and stuff like that. So hopefully it's something easy, but for now, the whole power stuff is done. So everything is working properly. I actually got it up to 14.2, which is a lot better than what it was before at 14.1. So that extra ground, I'm assuming, kind of helped a little bit. Cleaning all the ground, getting a bigger alternator wire. So it's now at 4 gauge. It's now reading on 14.2, which is what I wanted to see. So far we're moving on to the steering wheel. And hopefully that's an easy fix, just like this one. So let's get to that one. So what I noticed is the turn signal switch, or this stalk right here, you have to kind of slam on it. So I'm assuming the little guide right here that's inside, there's a spring load, or there's a little 2 metal load that kind of gives you the selection for the left and right, and there's hardly any force, and you have to give it like quite a bit of pull down just to get it to work. See, that's the left turn signal, and then you kind of have to, it's actually going right now, so I'm holding it for the turn signal. I don't know if you can hear a little bit, but it's clicking, and that's the turn signal. So we're gonna have to remove basically the steering wheel and see what's going on behind it, because the horn doesn't work either. So gonna need a steering wheel puller removal tool for this one. So we'll see how that goes. See if I can get it to work again. There it is. That's the right turn signal going right now, and I'm holding it. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take this off and see what it's doing. So looking at the steering wheel, need to take the horn side off. I think this has like some kind of security bit, which I do have the kit, so hopefully the ones that I have fits to it. Also, when I'm done, I'm going to try to glue this. Now this was already broken, but figured might as well try to fix it. I don't know if even a glue is gonna hold it back together, but might as well try it. I mean, it's not really gonna hurt, but yeah, I'll go ahead and try to figure this out. Hopefully it comes off easy. It's kind of already loose, so there are 2 screws right here and another one right here. So yeah, looks like a big crack, but we'll figure all that out. Just to show you which one it is, it's this funky security screw bit deal. The other side wasn't even tight. I'm not sure what this crack is. It's either like a, I would assume, over tightening, but anyway, this was the only thing that's holding it, and that explains why it's loose. And it's this one right here. Kind of a funky screw. I've never really seen one of these, but that's why it's good to have one of these security things from Harbor Freight. Cheap. comes in handy. That's literally the first time I even used it. But let's go ahead and take everything off and continue on, and then yeah, we'll keep pressing forward. Looks like we need 3 flatheads. I'm assuming that takes this off. This is kind of loose, so I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be, but I guess we'll inspect that as well as we get in there. Now that that thing is off, yeah, there's definitely something going on with this, but yeah, I'm gonna take this off, and make sure you mark it too. Like put like some mark, like maybe like a little line, that way you know that to line it up once you put everything back. So since I don't think this has splines, I think it's just these nut that's basically tightening it down, but I won't know until I take this off. So we'll see what it looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off first. So, but yeah, line everything up like that, make some marks, and then go from there. So it was pretty good to leave a mark, and as you can see, there's also an indent right here, which lines up to the center. So that's how you'll know to put it back the same way. I've just kind of been putting everything in here just so I know where they are. And this is the horn trigger, and I'm not sure what's, looks like something, or the thing is stuck in there, so I'm not sure. Oh, the horn still works, so that's good. I just heard it. Oh, that's cool. Glad to hear that one. So yeah, keep this handy. Put it right there. I'm gonna make one more mark just to be sure, and then hopefully pull this steering wheel off. So I got everything taken off. Trying to figure out if the switch is bad or this thing kind of feels like it's binding. And also this part, if you guys have any fix or way to fix that, let me know. But it feels like it's loose and I can't get it to go to park, which is, customer came in with that, so I figured might as well just ask to see if that's something easy to remove or fix. But if it is easy, let me know. I got the brake switch removed. I don't know if this is the original one. I would assume it is, but I did notice there's like a big damage right there on the inside. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but this thing definitely needs to be situated. I'm gonna order a new one, and hopefully that's the fix for the turn signals. So stay tuned. Being that everything is like metal to metal, I went ahead and kind of put a little bit of oil right here, and I put a little bit of grease on anything that mates with another metal. That way it's not metal to metal, no lubrication, friction type of deal. So yeah, just go ahead and put it back in there. I also dabbed a little bit of glue or oil down here and a little bit where the transmission is, just to kind of put a little bit of lubrication down there. But anyway, yeah, swap it back in and hopefully it glides a little bit better. So I popped in the turn signal switch and that didn't fix the problem. I went ahead and inspected the bulbs, and the driver's side is the one that's flashing quickly and the one that's kind of shutting on and off with the brake. So I just kind of popped the bulb, and it doesn't look like there's still any filaments in it. So right now, so far, it's blinking normal. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's not hyper flashing anymore, just by removing this bulb. So I'm gonna go ahead and order more of these bulbs and see if that actually fixes the problem. But even a bulb like these can actually cause a lot of problem. It's definitely blown. The filament inside is pretty much non-existent. So I'm gonna go ahead and order the specific one and keep on moving. So I'm trying to figure this all out. I popped all the new bulbs in the front, new bulbs in the back, all of them. The turn signal seems to work whenever this socket is not basically installed and being grounded here. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, but every time I put it back, it starts to hyper flash. Let me see if it'll do it. Notice how that like doing it faster? But when it's not, see how like it went to a different filament and it's actually like blinking normal. So Not quite sure what's going on with that, but I'm definitely checking that one out. So I went ahead and unplugged the turn signal and the parking light front passenger side, and as you can see, it's actually getting signal, but it's not illuminating here. So I would suspect and possibly try a new bulb first, because it is getting a signal. As you can see, that's the turn signal. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug it back in and see what it does. The front passenger side is also now illuminating when it's on turn signal. Currently it's on the turn signal mode, so it does have parking light, but I suspect the bulb is also out on this one, that's causing it to slowly turn or slowly blink. So we're gonna pull this out and see what's going on with it. I'm currently probing the inside of the plug. As you can see, it's still flashing, so there's good connection from there to here. So I'm gonna go ahead and order some new bulbs and put it back in. Since I found that issue with the turn signal switch, I went ahead and ordered one from a GM parts store in New York, so shout out to them. On the old one from the previous video, you'll see like there's a huge damage on the brake switch input signal. So I don't know if that's causing any issues, but I have a feeling that was what's giving the issues of whenever you step on the brake, it shuts down the turn signals, or vice versa, all sorts of weird stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in and see if that fixed the issue. I've got the brake switch, turn signal mounted back on, so just waiting on the bulbs now, and then we test everything and hope it's just the bulbs too. I noticed on the taillight side of it, this is the only original bulb that's in there, and I don't know if that's possibly causing it, but it was either way, the element is pretty much gone. I did notice on the passenger side, there are newer models or newer type of bulbs that's definitely not factory. So I'm just gonna go ahead and order all four, replace them all. I'm gonna order 2 more of these for the front and replace both that, and also might as well order a flashing parking relay and just to kind of replace it all. Finally got the bulbs that I need. Gonna go ahead and pop 2 of the front turn signals and parking light, and then do the ones in the back along with the interior little bulbs or whatever, and see what that does. So I'm still having issues with the front passenger side turn signal. It looks like this thing has been repaired with an aftermarket one. I'm gonna try to see if I could get a factory one just like the driver's side, because every time you move that plug right here, this pretty much socket, it keeps turning on and off and acting all weird. So I'm gonna order another one and replace it the proper way. So I'm also troubleshooting why there's no light in the back light of this gauge right here. I did find out that it has a bulb right here for the oil pressure, for the emergency brake, and the old generator, which is not functioning anymore since I did the 1-wire alternator deal. It does have the plug for the oil, a plug for the brake or the emergency brake, and also the generator. It does not have a plug or a socket for the center light. I looked everywhere in there and there is none whatsoever. It does have a tape where the bulb should have went, so I'm not sure if that's just how it is or there's just no light in there since it's already occupied by 3. That I'm not sure, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it, but everything else has a light. I already fixed the indicator light that goes right here. The socket was somehow binding inside where the contacts are, so I just kind of rebend it back and got that working. So I ended up ordering a horn kit too. It just arrived today, so this is going to be installed. That way the horn is going to work, since the old one was kind of broken apart. So figured might as well try a new one and see how that goes. So this is how it's currently blinking. It's going to be for the left. And that's with the flasher relay that came with it. So it's pretty much identical to the other side. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a try and see what it does. I'm hoping it changes to a little bit slower, but if not, then we're just gonna rock whatever this one does. Just got back from AutoZone. I went ahead and got a new flasher relay that it was recommended for the vehicle. I'm not quite sure if this is the factory one that came with it, but I figured might as well see if that was what it was. But anyway, I got 522 or 552 LL552 from AutoZone, so we're gonna go ahead and pop it and see what it does. So I got the new flasher relay on. That's pretty much what it looks like back there. This is what it looks like now, so that pretty much fixed the issue. So that was an aftermarket one, which looks like a hyper flash type of relay. So glad this one's fixed. That pretty much concludes the whole troubleshooting and things like that with this vehicle. I'm gonna go clean it up, test everything before I even call the customer. So overall, it wasn't too bad. It was just kind of a pain chasing this, chasing that, but overall it wasn't too bad. Just to show you how much these compressors pull voltage wise, I'm gonna go back to the preset up. That's why you don't want these compressors to run without the vehicle running. See, it went from 14 getting close to 12 volt. That's how much these ones draw power, which is a lot. And that's also why I kept shutting on and off before the alternator was charging.